Hello again, it's Jenny Luddington here,
And it's Sue Allsworth.
and this week is episode 3 of our series of ways to enhance your life. And today we're going to be talking about being kind to your mind.
And what that actually entails, and how can we be kind to our minds. Last week we talked about how we can just be kind and patient with ourselves in general, whereas this time we're specifically talking about how we can actually be kind to our mind, and not continue old habits, old patterns, and old beliefs that stick around in the brain. So how are you kind to your mind, Jenny?
I think if I look back on how I was unkind to my mind, and then what changes I've brought about to bring kindness to my mind and lovingness and accepting of myself, that might be the best way of explaining things. Previously, in old ways of thinking, my mind was quite often at war with itself. I was plagued with thoughts of thinking I wasn't good enough. I was, a couple of years ago, in a job which I absolutely loved, but hadn't been for a while serving my highest good. But I thought I had to keep doing that job because it was the only job I could do. People depended on me. Nobody would be able to do that job the way that I could do it. And I had all these conflicting thoughts, and I really needed to move on and to do something else. But I was really resistant to change because I thought if I couldn't do that thing, my self-worth, my self-value would just be flushed
Your
down the
identity.
toilet. Yeah, absolutely. It was my identity. My job, and it took serious illness and a lot of aggravation and capability hearings and stuff like that that made me think that enough's enough. I need to move on. And then there was this whole process where I had to accept that what I was doing was for my highest good, that changing what I was doing didn't mean that I was a failure. Loving myself enough to let something go that was toxic.
And to believe that you're actually capable
Yeah.
of so much more.
Yeah.
Similar, but so much more. And the universe in the end actually gave Jenny a gentle nudge. Gentle
More of
is
a push.
more of a push, yeah. And since then, the difference in her mindset, in herself, in her smile, even, has been amazing to see. And that belief that, oh my God, you are capable of
Yeah.
doing and being so much more. But it's also how allowing the thoughts to catch up and the feelings to catch up, that I can do this, rather than the I can't or I shouldn't.
Or
do
I
this.
have to do the thing that I don't want to be doing. Last week we talked about responsibility, and my responsibility to myself, my happiness, the people I love, obviously. But if I'm not in a safe
Hopefully.
and happy place, I've got no chance of making anybody else feel safe, happy, loved, secure. So I think what changed for me in thinking was getting rid of the shoulds, the I have to's. There isn't any should. I could change jobs. I could stay in a job. But what is it that I need to make me happy? About yourself?
Oh, my mind was a disaster area. After every trauma, there is an aftermath, and my mind was the aftermath. As I mentioned before, I was seriously ill throughout my 20s. It was a bit of a case of what came first, the chicken or the egg scenario. But the long and short of it was I had some severe hormonal imbalance, and I had something that was diagnosed at the time, or in my late 20s, as PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, by a consultant in Harley Street. And I'd spent years dealing with things, knowing that there were nervous breakdowns and different things that were causing that, and dealing with those, and yet still in this absolute state of madness is all I can call it, to be honest with you. And the very short story is that I ended up having a hysterectomy at 29 before I'd had any children. So biggest decision of my life I will ever have to make. And I was cured. Physically, I was cured. Control that I needed to have back, that I didn't have with the hormones, beforehand. It was like having a switch in the back of my back. That was my on-off switch, and I knew it was there, but I couldn't. Like that annoying itch you get, and you can't quite get it because you've got to ask someone else to get it. And that was my on-off switch, and I couldn't control it. And after the hysterectomy, I was a lot more balanced in general. But I had the aftermath of bad negative beliefs, self-doubt, thinking that I didn't even realize, and they still continued for quite some time afterwards, because I decided to go abroad for 3 months and chose then to stay for 6 years in Peru. And I immersed myself in a new job, a new culture, a new language. So I didn't actually, again, I was doing I'm very good at, I am queen of avoidance, me, and I will find healthy and unhealthy ways of avoiding the issue. And it enabled me to just ignore. I wanted to forget what had gone on in my 20s, to be quite honest, and I wanted to prove that I was cured and that I could then go out and live a good life, and have an adventure that I wouldn't have been able to beforehand. But the mindset and the mind beliefs were there still. They may have been suppressed for a while, but they slowly came back over time and years. And I had to really start to monitor my thoughts, and at what time of the day my monkey chatter was more damaging to myself and more active. And I found it was quite often in the mornings when I'm lying there, first thing I wake up, it would be, oh my God, what I've got to do. And I think I've mentioned this before in week 1, and that loop starts, and it was breaking that cycle. And also, when you're in the automatic habit of thinking negatively and believing negatively, I kind of had to give myself immersion therapy of goodness. And for me, it was, I was in a job at the time back in England, and I was driving a lot. So I found positive affirmation CDs and new thought songs by people. And that is constantly what I kept in my car to reprogram. It might not have got to the point where I believed it all to be my truth at the beginning, but I had to rewire and put good thoughts into my mind that I hadn't even entertained, to be quite honest with you, beforehand. And over time, that kind of immersion therapy and singing along with those songs, and then you're singing along to them during the day, and then things just slowly over time just clicked. And a line from a song, one of my favorite songs by Karen Drucker is Be Gentle with Yourself. And there's a line in there that says you can only go as fast as the slowest part of you feels safe to go. And that really resonated with me at the time, because I've got one part of me that is on high speed, and it's hard for anyone to keep up with me. And then I've got another part of me that is going, really, I'm not sure about that. Oh, dodgy. And it's also recognizing where these old thoughts and beliefs come from, and that's a whole nother issue that's we haven't got time for today. It is going back, not to go back over the story, over the drama, but just to recognize. I've had for a long time, I can't write. And yet I'm now in the process of writing 2 books, and a whole series of books will come from this. And I write my own meditations. And I had to go back over time to figure out where that belief actually started, because it didn't start when I was born. It didn't start when I was 5. And I had to go through the time of when did I actually start to say that and believe it. And it was an incident at secondary school. It was a teacher. And I then just lovingly realised, it was like, oh my God, that's not my belief. That was your belief about me. And I don't have to buy into that. And so I lovingly, in my own language, shove that right back in your face. Because metaphorically, obviously, I can't go back and find this teacher and shove it in your face. But mentally, it was just like, that is yours. And if that's how you choose to think of me, none of my business, that's fine. But that's actually not my truth. And then I could rewrite this truth that actually I can write. I might not be an academic writer, unlike Jenny here, who is a lovely, wonderful academic person. But creatively, I could. And so it was just slowly picking one thought at a time. What do I want to change? And trying not to change everything at once, but just taking it one step at a time.
And I think I'd like to pick out from what you said just there is about feeling that truth. Music is amazing because you get a physiological reaction. It raises your vibrations.
Crying quite a lot of the time. Sometimes in sadness, but quite often now in happiness.
And also about what you think about others is often what you're thinking about yourself. So if you catch yourself in a particularly judgmental thought, question that, monitor that thought, because if you're going around throwing judgments at other people, judging yourself as well.
There's normally something in you. Quite often the things we don't like in others is the thing that is something we don't actually like about ourselves.
It's our own shadow.
So on that note, we will say bid you adieu and say adios for week 3. I think we're on week 3.
We are on week 3.
And again, please, we would love to hear any feedback from you, any comments, what are the bad thoughts that go in your mind? How have you retrained your mind to think more positively?
So thank you so much. As always, we really appreciate your time. You can find me on Facebook at All Heart Led.
And you can find me at AuthenticSmile.com or Authentic Smile on Facebook. So until the next time, have an awesome week.
See you on the flip.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.